Namaste everyone, welcome to MOBA Guru, and today we will talk about the freshest update towards the patch of Mobile Legends. Many will definitely question why these changes take place, especially since an adjustment on the previous patch was made barely a few weeks ago. Regardless, the 11/11 event is already underway, so don't forget to use your golden diamonds, and many are also looking forward to the new heroes entrance Joy. But the wildest of all from this patch update is the number of heroes who got buffed. Namely 20, the most we have seen so far for patch updates. Let's have a look at which fighter and tank heroes who profited from this update. The Desert Scimitar has only become a situational pick ever since the jungler meta made its entrance. Now, his scimitar has been sharpened and he will rage a sandstorm in the Land of Dawn. Picking off enemies has been made easier for Khaleed as Moonton buffed his passive. He will now strike his enhanced basic attack faster, and its reach has been increased, making him closer than ever to his enemies after casting. Moreover, its damage has been adjusted, allowing him to snowball with ease in the early to mid game. His damage dealing Desert Tornado has also been strengthened. It now has a new effect of pulling enemy towards him, and the animation has been reduced. The damage has been adjusted though to high early but lower late game damage. Who can ever forget his introduction into the jungler role by teams from Philippines and Lord High? The son of Minos will now rage in the Land of Dawn further with these buffs. Minotaur's rage will not dissipate anymore. This is crucial as his enhanced halt can't activate without full rage. As compromise though, attacking enemies will give him less stacks. Another new effect has also been given to his Despair Stomp. Enemies who got hit will now be knocked airborne, making him have more reliable crowd controls. To balance out this overall buff on Minotaur, the rage gaining abilities from Motivation Roar has been removed, and the rage received from the normal state of Minoan Fury has been reduced to 3. The Mystic Tortoise used to be the go-to flexible pick, but he has fallen off with tanks that can sustain more than him. Now, the wheels have turned for this hero to conquer the Land of Dawn once more. Baxia Mag will now give more anti-heal and anti-shield effect, as the enemies hit by Baxia's skill will have his or her shield and HP regen reduced by 50%. Also, it wouldn't be as devastating as before if he were to miss his Shield of Spirit in the late game, as the cooldown of the second skill in the late game has been reduced to 5 seconds. The Ancient Guard used to be a hot topic, but compared to other tanky heroes, she wasn't zapping enough. She should now be a good option for the EXP lane with the following buffs. Her lane clearing has always been a problem, so Moonton decided to strengthen the damage output towards minions to 180%. Not only that, her ranged basic attacks from Primal Wrath will now hurt more, as every point of extra defense will be converted to 3.2 magic power. Previously the Ancient Guard, now the Guard of Nature. Famous players such as CW and Lemon used to play him in the gold lane thanks to his passive change. The following buffs should make him more popular now. As Belerick stacks up high HP based items, he will hurt his opponents more through his passive. Adding further to his sustainability, the mana cost of his HP gaining skill, Nature's Strike, has been reduced, allowing him to reuse the skill during prolonged teamfights. The Firaga armor was setting the Land of Dawn ablaze, but has fallen short recently due to his last nerf. Moonton decided to patch him up and make him stronger to compete in the EXP lane better. In the early game, his armor will be broken fairly easily, so an enhancement towards X-Borg's attributes have been made, namely towards his base HP by 80 and his armor's base HP by 96. This should allow X-Borg to not get picked off easily or to have more chance to counterplay. The Queen of Blood was recently buffed, yet her performance had been lackluster, especially in the early game due to her mana running out fairly easily. Moonton decided to buff her further. Now, her passive stacks can also be gained from slaying creeps, opening perhaps a door for her to become another jungler tank. Moreover, the orbs dropped by enemies have been improved optically, allowing her to increase her stacks with ease. The mana consumption of her Blood Ode was too high in the early game and has now been reduced to 50 at level 1. The rogue appraiser have gained popularity in the jungler and EXP lane role thanks to his buff from the previous patch update. It seems he would strike blades harder with these new buffs. Fredrinn's crystal energy won't disappear anymore like before, but instead decay up to 5 seconds. Even though the crystal energy reduces at a greater rate per second, completing his combos and gaining points will reset the decay timer. More damage will also be converted now thanks to the increased damage to crystal energy ratio, and as compromise, the HP gain from his passive has been reduced to only 25%. Further buffs were made to his piercing strike as he gains extra bonus damage, and to his ult Appraiser's Wrath as his HP gain from crystal energy has been doubled. The change to his ult is at the cost of less damage converted from crystal energy though, decreasing to 35%. FYI, his skin will now give extra maximum HP instead of extra physical attack. The Blood Demon couple is known to be isolated in their own castle. Now is her time to step out and cast her shadow onto the Land of Dawn. Her Vampire Pack now steals a slightly higher defense, scaling from 7 to 11 at maximum level. Also, her ultimate now works differently, as it now takes the form of a field that slows enemies down, and after a short while, enemies who are still within it will be immobilized and chained together. This curse is now more focused on its controlling potential, because any controlled share is increased to 100% ratio, and the damage shared decreased to only 50% ratio for all linked enemies. The base damage of the initial cast increased to compensate for the harder casting from 450 to 750. Her Sacred Bond with Sicilian has also been adjusted, with its cooldown increased to 45 seconds, although the base shield receive has almost been doubled at all levels. The Nazar King has one of the strongest control skills with his Divine Whip. Unfortunately, not even he himself knows which role he has, so Moonton decided to change things up. It seems Moonton wants Kaja to have a more clear role as a roamer. His base physical defense has been raised to 25, while his HP growth increased by 20, making him more tanky. Moreover, his passive and his skills will now paralyze enemies and briefly reduce their movement speed and damage dealt by 8% for 4 seconds, which can be stacked up to 4 times. To compensate, the lifesteal effect has been removed. His Ring of Order has a new effect as well, healing Kaja up to 200 HP when hit and 30% for every subsequent target. Cooldown of this skill is also reduced by 0.5, although his passive will not reset anymore when Ring of Order hits. To balance these buffs, nerfs have been done towards his second skill and ult. His Lightning Bomb now hurt less, with reduced base and bonus damage to only 300 at maximum level and 35% respectively. His Divine Judgment now has 100 less base damage across all levels, plus 20% less magic bonus damage. The worst part though is the removal of the magic defense reduction on suppressed enemy. Regardless, there are more positive changes towards Kaja, suiting for his new roamer role. The Iron Steel can really turn teamfights around when his users execute his ult with the right timing. However, his other skills could be dodged with ease, and Moonton decided to change things up for him. Gatotkaca's crowd control skill, Unbreakable, has been strengthened, with the reach of his skill has been increased, and the time need to reach full charge for maximum dash distance has been reduced. This gives Gatotkaca more room to make plays and land his CC skills. The martial genius Yin suffered a nerf last patch, but Lia won't back off, as he received a buff to make him more sustainable. His ultimate, My Turn, has a slight animation time before Yin turns into Lia. Thus, he needed more survivability to avoid getting punished instantly. Now, while inside his ultimate, he has a higher defense increase, scaling with skill level from 50 to 80. The Budding Hope and her companion Yu have been helping other dry lands for too long. It's time for them to help replenish the Land of Dawn. Flower of Hope, which Floryn can share to one of her ally, is what makes her different. It now grants her ally 5% more physical attack or magic power, depending on which is higher, and once upgraded, her ally gains an extra 10% physical and magic lifesteal. Flower of Hope also has new effects. The ally holding it will gain a shield every time Floryn heals them. Once upgraded, the shield will have more HP and offer a slight movement boost. Remember Lemon 1v5 against Evo's SG in M2? Yes, it seems the Courageous Blade will be priority pick once more with another buff from Moonton. His Blink skill, Jungle Warrior, has been strengthened. The cooldown at level 1 has been reduced to 10, allowing him more escape capability during the laning phase, even though the cooldown at maximum level has been increased. The main attraction though is the buff towards his heavy sword stance, granting him more physical and magical defense up to 60 at maximum level. There are actually many more heroes in other roles who not only got buffed but also nerfed or adjusted. Other than them, some items and in-game attributes have also received interesting changes. If you are curious to know, subscribe to our channel, follow our other socials to stay updated, and stay tuned for part 2. Namaste.